wake up soon, so I might put him back in the carrier, but I'm just gonna wear it right now because why not? Today I'm gonna we'll try to do my birth story video because I put up what I didn't use for my hospital bag, and people are like, wait, what? You had the baby? Where's the birth announcement? And I guess people don't follow me on Instagram, which makes sense. I announced his birth on Instagram. This is gonna be not a hard video to film. It's gonna be my brain is gonna make it hard to film. I'm sorry if this is a long video. There's a lot to cover, but I'm really excited for it. Like, I'm gonna start off by saying that I am so grateful for my birth experience. No regrets, no complaints. Let's just get little Theo for a second, you know? Why not? Oh, hey, Bubba. Okay, buddy boy. Is that better? Can I tuck your head in? Hi, baby. Take 2. Okay, now that we've got little man in here, we're gonna talk about my birth story. It all started, my due date was August 3rd. Of course, August 3rd came and went. I always thought I was gonna go like a week early. That did not happen. And then once I didn't go a week early, I was like, he's gonna be late. I didn't know it was a boy, but I thought it was a boy. Like, I always thought it was a boy. And mama was right. August 3rd came and went. We actually went to our friend's pool and I like floated around on a giant unicorn. I'll insert a picture here if I can remember to find it. And that was a great way to spend my due date if I wasn't gonna be having a baby, because I wasn't like over it. I was like, baby's gonna come, baby's gonna come. I just really didn't want to get induced, but if I had to get induced, I had to get induced, and I wasn't gonna make a big deal about it. I have my 40-week appointment on Monday, August 5th at like 9:15 in the morning. So I was 40 plus 2. I had not been checked up until that point. So she checked me and I was 4 centimeters dilated and 70% effaced, and that was at probably like 9:30 in the morning. And I was like, oh man, like that's 4 centimeters. That's something. Like, this baby's gonna be coming. And so I said, I know you can't tell, but like, what do you think? But she's like, I don't think you're gonna make it maybe a couple more days. While she was checking me, she did a cervical sweep, and that is said to induce labor. I left feeling really positive and excited. I called Michael on my way out of the clinic and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm 4 centimeters, I'm 70% effaced. Like, she thinks something's gonna happen in the next couple days. And he's like, really? That's awesome. Like, oh my gosh, because we're just waiting. And so I went home and I was working on thank you cards for people that had gotten us baby gifts. And I was feeling crampy. Like, as soon as I left, I was feeling crampy. And I was like, but also like, I didn't want to read too much into it because you hear that people get cervical sweeps and they have to get a couple or they stall out. And so I really didn't want to like get my hopes up. So it's 11:30 now. I've been feeling super crampy since my appointment, which like I'm happy about, but it's like, is this it? Does this mean something's happening now? Or is it just, am I cramping because she's did the cervical sweep? Or was that what I needed to go into labor? Like, what's going on? I don't know. They were definitely more intense when I was like up about like making lunch, and they're a bit better now that like I'm on my exercise balls. So I don't know if I want to like get up and move around. I probably should, but it's also like 11:30 and Michael's not here, so I don't know, things could be happening. Maybe that's just what I needed. And then after a while I was like, you know what, there's like consistency to these cramps. I can't remember if it was like right from the beginning. I was feeling them in like my lower belly, my back, and kind of my butthole area. So I didn't really think anything of it because I expected contractions to be something more. I expect my whole belly, my whole uterus to contract and it to be, really intense. Probably around 10:30, I started timing them, and right away they were 40 seconds long and like 2 minutes apart. I was like, that's weird, because I always thought, they would be really short and they'd be like 10 minutes apart and then they get close together, but they were 2 minutes apart. So I was like, man, this is weird. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep an eye on it. I don't think it's labor. I don't think these are contractions. I think I'm just cramping from the cervical sweep, and I don't think anything's gonna come from it, but I just don't know. So I'm gonna like just put in some laundry. I think I'm getting another one. I just put in some laundry, and I'm trying to clean up. I ate some food, but I think I need to go get Michael because I don't know if this continues. Ooh, if I'm gonna be able to go get him from work. So I think I'm gonna call him. I'm trying to make it a couple more minutes and then call him and see what he wants to do, because there's no need for him to like come and be here. I just have the car, which is the problem. I think I'm gonna call him soon and give him the lowdown. I'm feeling, it's all tight, but I'm feeling them down here in my back and in my butthole. this can't be it, right? Maybe I just needed to hear that I was dilated and effaced a bit. I think he called me and I was talking to him about it. I was talking. God, you're sweet. So he called me at one point and he's like, I think you should call the midwife. So I called the clinic, they patched me through and I was like, I don't know what's going on. She was like, okay, well, you know, it sounds like something could be happening. Do you want to go in labor or do you want to like wait? And I was like, oh, I want to go into labor. Like, and so she's like, well, keep moving, stay on your feet, go on a walk. Let me know when they get to a minute long and want you to not be able to talk through them. And so I was like, yeah, right, okay. So I just started going around my house and I was like cleaning it up, walked around our backyard for a while. And then at like 2:45, I was like, if you haven't left already, you should probably head this way, because he still had a pack and everything. So this whole time, like, I'm convinced as I'm laboring at home that it's not anything. Like, I'm walking around, I'm cleaning my house, I'm tidying stuff up, I'm walking around the backyard, swaying through them. I have a little bit of footage of me, I don't know at what point I was like in the living room, and it's funny to look like I'm wearing Michael's shorts. So things have progressed since I last got on here. I think we're having contractions. I mean, I've been having contractions consistently since like, oh, I started timing them at like 11, but whoo. Oh, they're really close together, but I don't think they're quite long enough. So I was at like 40 seconds every like 2 to 5 minutes. So I called the midwife and I was like, this can't be it. I don't know what's going on. Like, is it because of the cervical sweep? And she was like, could be. Either you can take a hot bath and take some Tylenol if you want to like see if that calms it down and makes it go away. Or if you do want to like use this to put yourself into labor, she said, walk around, and she said once they get to a minute in length, you have to like stop and breathe through them. I can't like talk through them or walk through them anymore. It's when I need to call her, when they're every like 2 to 5 minutes apart, which they're like every 2 minutes apart, like every minute and a half apart, but they're only like 45 to like 55 seconds right now. I've had like maybe 3 over a minute and long, but I had one that like took me to my knees. I was gonna go on a walk, but I don't think I need to go on a walk, so I'm just trying to like walk around my house and stuff. I was walking around the backyard, but I am not gonna leave the house. So I'm trying to, I can feel it like right here in my back and in like my butthole. Woo, woo, getting up, woo, Fanny. Okay. See, like a minute apart. And they're, I mean, I can still talk through them. They're definitely more painful. I think I should probably tell Michael to come soon. But I also like, I don't want to be dramatic. I don't like, I literally have my appointment. I'm like, I had my appointment today at like 9:15. Probably got checked and everything at like 9:30. So in that sense, it's 2 o'clock right now. So 9:30, and I mean, I've been having like consistent contractions since probably about like 10. I felt crampy after we left, charting them on my phone at 11, and they've been within 40 seconds since 11. So I had to take off the shorts I was wearing because they were too tight, so now I'm wearing like Michael's old shorts that I sleep in. Like, this can't be it. This is happening too fast. Oh man, woo! Woo! So I'm just trying to clean up. I vacuumed, I swept. I got the rest of my stuff pretty much together, except for like all my electronical stuff, but I'm trying to do that now. So I charged this. I'm trying to clear off my SD cards. I need to get my like computer charger and stuff, but I'm using my laptop, not really. I'm gonna put on some music. Ooh, okay. Almost over a minute. But I can talk through them and I can walk through them, so we're keeping our cool. I think today might be the day that I go into labor. I like laboring by myself because I make weird noises. Whew. And I can swear and I can say God bless America and blessed be the fruit and things like that. Ooh. Ooh. It's like I don't quite know what I want to do. Like, I don't want to stop moving, but I don't want to move. They peak and then they calmly go away. And they start back up. Oh. I'm feeling my butthole, baby. I think you're coming. And Michael comes home around 3 and he starts like packing and he's super excited and giddy and it's great. And I'm kind of like, oh, I don't know what's going on. He's like, do you want to, like, once I'm packed, are we going? And I was like, no, I want to stay home. And then I can't remember at what point I called the midwife clinic again and I talked to the nurse and she was like, well, she's like, I've talked to you for a couple minutes now and like you're still talking. So she was like, my recommendation is to stay home. And she's like, I want you to get to where you can't talk through them. And I was like, okay, fine. We try to watch like a movie down here. I didn't like that. We went upstairs and I was like, just sitting down made me worried that I was stalling them out, but then they got so much more intense. Probably like 5 something. They were getting pretty intense and Michael was kind of like, okay, should we maybe go? And I was like, no, we're not there yet. We're not there yet.
How's it going, kid? What are you doing?
I don't know, I think I'm laboring.
Just from the comforts of our living room.
The comforts of your shorts.
This is how babies end up getting born on floors. Because people refuse to go to the hospital.
She told me to stay here. She's like, well, drink some water, eat some snacks, and keep going.
He was texting with one of our like friends. It has 2 kids. She had them both at home. And so we were waiting for her to come over, and like while we were waiting, I was like, okay, I'm ready to like call our midwife back and tell her I'm ready to come in. Like, this is getting intense. I was still like managing. I was like standing and swaying through them. She came over, she talked. She's like, yeah, you definitely look like you're in labor. We talked for a while, and then I was like, let's go. Let's get to the hospital. So Michael was like packing everything up. They were a minute long, sometimes more, like 60 to 90 seconds. I was having to stop and like sway and breathe through them. I'm walking out to the car and like I'm putting something in the back seat and I had like contractions. So I'm like standing there. And so Michael's like, okay, yeah, let's get you into the truck. Let's do this. And he was so excited and cute. And so we get in the truck and like sitting down. I didn't want to sit down, but I had to like sit down and be in a seatbelt, but I just wanted to be like on all fours. Like, the couple contractions I had on the way to the hospital were unpleasant, to say the least.
Pretty giddy, kid.
What?
You're pretty giddy.
It's just the craziest thing in the world. What are you doing?
So we're gonna go to the hospital and see where I'm at.
Yeah.
And if I'm not progressed more, you have to help me not be discouraged. It's gonna be okay.
You can see it in my face. You can see it in my face. I'm in pain because sitting down was not pleasant. We get to the hospital. I was like, let's just leave everything here. Just grab my wallet that has like my ID and stuff. The midwife had called ahead, so they were like expecting me. I'd already pre-registered and everything. But I always told myself I wanted to go in when I was 6 centimeters. I'm a laboring lady at this point, and the ladies at the like entrance are like, do you want a wheelchair? I was like, no, I'm good, I'm walking. And people are just so excited when they see a lady in labor. I don't know why. So we get on the elevator. This like 20-something-year-old girl gets on with us, like young 20s. And she asked me, like, maybe I'm not remembering this correctly, but I feel like she asked me, are you okay? And I wanted to be like, point at my giant belly and be like, I'm okay. I'm just in labor. I was like, yeah, I'm fine. We get into like the labor and delivery ward, and they're like, okay, we've got a triage room for you. I have a contraction on the way to the triage room. They're like, it's over here whenever you're ready. And I'm like, I'm coming. So we get in there and they're like, okay, strip pants down, put this sheet on, and we'll have someone come and check you.
Do you like my toga?
What are we doing?
We're in triage. We're waiting for someone to come check.
And like the contractions are getting pretty intense at this point. Like, I don't want to sit down, I don't want to lay down, I just want to be standing and moving because that feels best. And it felt like it took them a long time to get in there to check me. They finally came in and they're like, okay, we want you to lay down on this table, like on this bed, and we're gonna check you and hook you up and watch a couple contractions, you know, see how dilated you are and stuff. And I was like I don't want to be on this table, but okay, let's get this over with. So I get on there and they recline it all the way and they check me, and I'm 6 centimeters. And I think at that point, like 80 or 90% effaced. I can't remember what the effacement was. I just know I was 6 centimeters. And so I was like super pumped about that, but like super uncomfortable. And they're like, yep, this is happening. We'll get your room ready or something. But my room was like literally right next to the triage room. We get into the room and I feel like things really ramped up from there. And I think maybe it was because I was convinced all day that I wasn't in labor, and to go in and have them be like, yeah, this is labor, that I kind of like let go of something, and it was like, oh crap, this is labor, like I've got to do this now. Right away I was like, can I get in the shower? I really want to get in the shower. Like these are getting spicy. My midwives had come into the triage room. Usually I only get one, but there's a couple at the clinic training, so I got 2 for 1. They were lovely. And then I had my labor and delivery nurse, and everyone was great. So the labor and delivery nurse is like, okay, we need to get 10 minutes of this and then you can get in the shower. Midwives are like trying to push it along, like let's get her in the shower. And they were kind of like, do you want us to push on your hips? And I was like, I didn't want anything. I was just in a world and not thinking about pain management techniques or anything, but they just went ahead and started pushing on my hips, and that felt good. So I was just kind of like leaning up against the bed, swaying, standing, and they were pushing on my hips through contractions while I was like getting all the readings done. And then so finally they're like, okay, you can get in the shower. And so I was like giving my hospital robes to one of my midwives, like trying to get in the shower, and she's like, oh, do you want to wear your bra in there or not? And I was like, oh, I don't want to get my bra wet, maybe I want to wear it later. So I took it off, and it's amazing how quickly you're just like naked and you don't care. I labored in the shower for probably like 15 minutes, and that felt really good. It helped the contractions a bit. I can't remember at this point if I'd already thrown up, but I threw up a lot. And if you guys know me, like I never, ever throw up. So the fact that I threw up so much, like it was intense. They had brought in these little essential oil packs that were like anti-nausea essential oils, so they put those in the shower with me. And so after 15 minutes I was like, can I fill up the tub and sit in the tub? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. So I was in the tub for quite a while, and they would come in with the Doppler and check the heartbeat. The midwives would come in and check on me. Michael came in, he would sit by me, and everyone was like, okay, you know, trying to get me to breathe, trying to get me to drink water and all that good stuff. Unbeknownst to me, at one point when they came with the Doppler, his heartbeat was elevated to like 190. They all out in like the delivery room were like, we need to get her out of that water. Like it's too hot or something. We need to get her out. We need to get her out here. And put the monitors on and just kind of watch it. So they're like, okay, Victoria, like, let's try. They didn't say like, you need to get out of the bath now. Like they were super calm. Like I didn't know what was going on. They're like, let's try getting out of the bath. And I really don't want to, but I was like, okay. And then I was like, I think I need a poop. And they're like, you feel like you need to push poop? And I was like, no, I think I just need to like poop. And so they're like, well, maybe you can try, we'll get like the stool. We've got this little chair thing that you can try laboring on. I was like, no, can I just like sit on the toilet for a minute and see if I actually need to poop or like what's going on? And now that I know that they're like wanted me to get out and get the monitors on, so I sat on the toilet for a minute and I made everyone leave. And they're all kind of like, oh, like the baby's heartbeat, like in their mind. But I'm like, I think I need to poop. I didn't poop on the toilet, so I was like, okay. And so they helped me out there. It's really intense and spicy right now. I am in like pinhole tunnel vision of just make it through everything. I am definitely moan screaming at this point. I am puking a lot. I don't know if I started pooping at this point, but there's no shame in it. Like they've seen it all. They don't tell you, they take care of it, but like you kind of know. For everyone that's afraid of pooping during labor, like it's probably gonna happen and you might not know, or you might know and it's not a big deal. Like you're pushing this thing out of you. It's gonna disrupt some stuff. I'm coming out of like all orifices. Things are happening. They get me hooked up to the monitors. They're watching him. I'm still like in my zone, and they come in and they say, okay, your baby's heartbeat is elevated to, I think it was 190. It's been there for X number of time. We're concerned about it. If it doesn't come down, we're gonna have to get you in for a C-section because it's not good for the baby to have an elevated heartbeat. And this was like the first I had heard C-section, and I was like, what? Like I thought I was just like laboring along, that stuff was intense, but everything was okay. Like to go from just being like, la la la, I'm in labor, it's really painful and I am really focused, to be like, your baby is not in a good place right now, you might have to have a C-section. And I was like, okay, if I have to have a C-section, whatever. I've always said like it's fine if that needs to happen, but what can we do before that point to not go there? I'd always said, like, they were like, do you know, what kind of birth do you want? What's your birth plan? And I was like, I don't really have a birth plan. I just want to try for a natural labor and I just want to let my body do its thing. But I know things change and I just want to have a baby. They offered a fentanyl and an epidural, and I was like, let's try fentanyl first. And that definitely took the edge off, but I still was like, moan screaming through contractions instead of breathing. And everyone was like, Victoria, you need to breathe, you need to breathe. And I was not breathing. And I was super tense and clenched. And they're like, okay, we're going to check you. And at that point, I was 7 centimeters. And I think it was like 10 something, maybe 11 at night. So that was kind of like disheartening. But like I was so like out of it at that point that like the fact that it only dilated another centimeter didn't really like, it didn't register on me. So they were saying like, okay, your bag of waters is still there. How do you feel about us breaking it? Make things more intense, but it's move things along. And I was like, I cannot handle anything more right now. Please don't break my bag of water. We're like having this conversation while I'm contracting. Michael's there, us trying to find the solution to where, what can we do to not go to the C-section, but to get to our point where I'm like breathing and progressing and he's doing okay. They didn't push it at all, but they brought up the epidural again. I don't know exactly what they said about it, but they're like, we're gonna leave and let you guys talk about it, and then we'll come back in and see what you said. And I can't remember if I like had the fentanyl at this point or whatever, but I must have, because I was coherent enough to like have a conversation. Michael's pretty freaked out at this point because he had been there and he was like aware enough to know that they were really worried about the baby. And I was just kind of, you know, one track focus of getting through the next contraction. So he was like, I don't want to push you. He's like, I'm just worried. And I was like, Michael, I do not need to be anyone's hero. I'm not here to like prove something to someone else. For me, having a vaginal birth versus a C-section, not more important to me, but I would rather, if I had to choose vaginal over unmedicated, I wanted to have a vaginal birth, but if I had to get one, that was fine. So I was like, I don't need to be anyone's hero. I'm not here to prove anything to anyone. Like, I think I should get the epidural. And he's like, yes, I think you should too. So they came back in and we were talking about it. They're like, we don't want to push you. You don't have to get it if you don't want to do it. The heartbeat has come back down, and as long as it stays down, you're okay to keep laboring. I was like, I don't want you to break my bag of waters. I'm not progressing. I'm not in a good place to where like I'm not breathing through things. I'd like an epidural. Then once you make the decision that you want an epidural, the time between that and when you actually get it, those contractions, I don't know why, are so much more intense. So it was probably about like 15 minutes. And I was like screaming through contractions at this point. And everyone's like, Victoria, you need to calm down. You need to breathe. But I was like, this shit is intense, people. And so finally he came in. I was always really nervous about an epidural needle and all that stuff. Like, I don't know why, but at that point you don't care. You're like, give it to me. I will put it in myself, give it to me. So I was like on the edge of the bed. My whole backside was exposed. The anesthesiologist was behind me with all his things. And then Michael was in front of me because you have to like curl over for them to put it in, and you can't move through your contractions while someone's sticking a needle into your back. So it's this very like daunting thing of like, you're gonna have these intense contractions, but you can't move. And so he was really great. They give you a numbing shot first, and then they wait for that to work, and then they put the epidural needle in, and then they pull like the needle out, and it's just like a tube or something. Michael's in front of me and he's kind of like holding me, giving me support to like help me not move. They let me have a contraction. They put in the numbing shot. While they waited for that to work, I can't remember if I had like another contraction or two, and then they're like, okay, as soon as this next contraction's done, we're gonna, you know, put it in. If you have a contraction, you just can't move. And it wasn't that bad. Numbing shot feels like a bee sting is what they say. And I would say like you go, but at that point, going through contractions, it's not even compared. It's fine. It's not a big deal. And it was amazing. Night and day, how I felt. Like I immediately felt not like drunk, but just like a weight had been lifted off of me. I kind of like melted and relaxed a little bit, and they're like, we're gonna break your waters now. Like break your bag of waters, whatever. I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's ramp it up. They checked me, and as they checked me, she was like, I think I just like in checking you, you're like an 8 now. So they're like, we're gonna shut the lights off. You're gonna take a nap for 2 hours, and we're gonna come back and check you. The craziest contrast between like screaming, vomiting, and pooping on the bed to you're going to take a nap. I want to say like 11 something at night at this point. And I don't think I actually napped. And so like the first hour, like I couldn't really feel anything. You can still feel that like the contractions are happening. The second hour, I could feel them, and they're kind of painful, but like I would just kind of softly breathe and kind of like rock through them. But I would assume it was 2 hours later, they came back and they checked me, and they're like, you're fully dilated, but there's like a little lip of your cervix left. So we're gonna put you on your side, put your leg up on this table on this pillow, and we'll be back in 15 minutes, and then you'll be ready to push. And it was just like the oddest thing. And then it's like, okay, you're gonna push. That was always like the thing that you're afraid of, but that was, people talk about how that's a relief because you can finally like do something. The thing with the epidural is two things. You can't really feel as much what you're doing, so it's hard to like direct your pushing. That's my only complaint with an epidural, was that I couldn't feel like where I was directing my pushing, so it made it harder to like direct my energy. The second thing, I always thought with an epidural that you were stuck laboring on your back, that you had to push on your back, but apparently that's not the case. I still could use my legs enough to where I was in like 7 different pushing positions, and that was amazing. I tried on my back, I tried on my side, I tried on all fours, I tried like leaning over the back of the bed, they got out the squat bar, and then finally the one that worked was they tied a sheet around the squat bar, and so I put my legs up on the squat bar, and then when I have my contraction, I pull against the sheet, use that to like push. And so I wasn't directing my pushing very well, I think, for a long time, because they're like, okay, this is where you need to push, like push into her fingers, push like you're pooping, all these sort of things. And then they're like, do you want a mirror to watch what you're doing? And like, I pictured like a handheld mirror, and I was like, I really don't want to watch my vagina right now. But then eventually like we're bringing in a mirror, and it was like a full-size mirror. It's like, there's your vagina. It's like you can see the tiniest bit of the baby's head at that point, and was like the weirdest thing. It was all so surreal. That definitely helped me figure out what sort of pushing was working, and so that helped progress it much more. When you think of like pushing, you think of like the baby's head actually coming out, but so much of it is like inside of you where you can't see, and it's like it comes out a little bit, goes back in, it comes out a little bit more, it goes back in. It just seemed like that went on for a while, but it wasn't bad. Like, I don't have any complaints about that part. At one point, like the mirror got moved, so I couldn't see what I was doing. But then they're like, okay, Dad or Michael or whatever, like unsnap her robe, like baby's gonna be here soon. I was like, no, it's not, like it was just there. I was always so nervous about like the ring of fire, like the crowning point. But that was the most, not satisfying, like that gave so much relief, because you could tell that like, yeah, you were super stretched, but that it was gonna be over soon. Like you could tell that the relief was coming, and it was the oddest feeling. And so you're just pushing your brains out. I thought I was gonna burst a blood vessel in my face. Michael said that my eyes were like bulging out of my head. But he was like, Michael was incredible during labor. Like I didn't have any doubt he wouldn't be. I was just very curious to see how he handled it, but he was such a cheerleader. He was such a champ and such a cheerleader. And he was like, you're doing such, oh my God, it was amazing. And he was like kissing my forehead and stuff. He's like, you're doing it, this is amazing. So yeah, they told, hey, Dad, unsnap the things, baby's gonna hear soon. And then it was just like, I felt the head come out. I couldn't see it because the mirror had gotten moved. I felt the head come out, and I like kind of like moved my robe so I could look down and see, and it was like there was a baby's head. And Michael, hearing Michael talk about that, he was like, it was the craziest thing, like this giant baby head came out, and then it turned like The Exorcist. And so listening to him talk about that, it was pretty wild. But yeah, so your baby's head come out, and then the body shifts so the shoulders can come through. But like once the head's out, like they just kind of like, you know, move the shoulders, and it just comes out, and it's just like, there's a baby. And I knew that would be the craziest thing, but they hand this baby up to you. I almost don't remember it. It's like watching someone else's life or a movie or something like that. I would have been shocked if it would have been a girl. They put Theo on my chest, and it's just like you're looking at it. I almost don't even remember it. It was pretty amazing. Michael cut the cord. I had some tearing, a 3rd-degree tear, spicy, and something about how I tore. My midwives didn't want to stitch me up because I think there was like a little bit internally that they didn't want to mess up, which I appreciate that. And so we had to wait for the OB that was like in the hospital to come stitch me up. I just had my one midwife like holding my vagina together, I'm pretty sure. But you're in baby heaven. You got this sweet little thing on your chest, and like everyone's talking to you. There's things going on. You're push out your placenta and all that sort of stuff. So the doctor eventually came in, stitched me up. That took a while, but it was fine. He latched during that. If you ask, or if they say, okay, we're gonna take baby and clean him off and weigh him and stuff, you can ask to wait. And he was 8 pounds and 6 ounces, which I was shocked. I thought he was gonna be like 7 something, but he was 8 pounds, 6 ounces, a big old boy. But like, that's pretty common size for a baby. And that was 3:15 in the morning when he came. And then by the time everything was said and done, it was like 6 in the morning. We sent him off to the nursery for like 2 hours so we could get a little bit of sleep, because we knew we would have family that day to come see him. They come in every like 15 minutes and then every 30 minutes and so on to push on your uterus, which is the least pleasant part of it. After a while, they're like, okay, we want to try to get you up and go to the bathroom. So I had my nurse and another nurse. I could still move my legs and everything, but like, they move you to the edge of the bed, you slowly get up, and then my legs gave out and I like fell into the one nurse, and they're like, whoa. So anyways, they got me into the bathroom, and it was like there's a disconnect between like my brain and sending signals to my bladder to like pee. So she had to like press on my like uterus stomach to help me pee. And then I think they came in once more to like help me get to the bathroom to pee, and then I was able to like walk there and like hold things on my own and pee. And then like it slowly got easier and easier. The connection came back between my brain and my bladder to be like, okay, pee. Like at first it wasn't there, and I was just like, nothing's happening. So yeah, that's kind of my birth story. I'm gonna make one kind of talking about like the postpartum experience, and I guess I could talk about like the peeing and stuff in that one. To recap the birth experience, it's not what I expected, but at the same time, like I didn't have expectations because I knew it's not something that you could like plan or know about. So I always said, I'm sure I'm gonna get questions about this, I've always said that I wanted to try for a natural birth, a natural unmedicated vaginal birth, or whatever, like whatever labels you want to give it. But I also didn't have a birth plan because I was like, baby's gonna how baby's gonna come, and it's fine. I'm very grateful that I got like all these different experiences. I got a labor at home 11 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night. Like I got a labor at home for 8 hours. That was amazing. I got to labor in the hospital unmedicated for 7 to like 11 for like 4 hours. That was great. And then it just wasn't meant to be this time, unmedicated birth, and that's fine. But I'm so grateful that I got the epidural because it allowed me to be conscious in a way for his birth. I don't know if I would have been. I think I would have been in a whole different world, and there's parts of that 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. that I don't remember, or I don't remember correctly because I was in a different place. I'll be telling someone about it and Michael will be like, no, that's not what happened, Victoria, this is what happened. And so I don't remember things correctly, and so I'm so glad that I was like present for his birth. You know, hopefully, knock on wood, I get to have another child in the future. And I think there are things that I'll do differently. I think the fact that I was convinced the entire day that I wasn't in labor, I wasn't doing anything to like cope with it or like calm myself down or make it easier. I was trying to make it as hard and as intense as possible because I didn't want it to like go away. I didn't want it to stop. I wanted to be in labor because I wanted to have a baby. That's really the only thing I would change. I think next time, like doing some coping things at home. I mean, unless something drastically changed, I'll definitely go to the same midwife clinic I went to because I love those people. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to follow along with this new journey of life with little Theo. Let me know down below what videos you want to see, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I hope I wasn't too long or too around the place, but that is that, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!